Was I sharing my screen the entire time I was looking to Telegram?
No, it wasn't turned on.
Okay. I was like, what? Okay.
Okay, now it's turned
So
on.
okay. Nice little cover right there. Okay. So this is just to show that there's different parts of semiconductors. Sorry, different types of semiconductors. And the industry is divided between design, manufacturing, and packaging. And primarily, the design is in the Apple, Intel, Huawei, Qualcomm, and provided by or supplied by ARM. Uh, I can't even pronounce them. Xilinx and Synopsys, Zukin,
Okay, so this
and
okay. Let me just dive here a bit in. So what this basically this first part is trying to say is that you have the companies which are designing the chips. I actually did something super low level compared to this. You get like a circuit board, and you basically design, like, let's say, the granular operations. I know it sounds stupid, but apparently when you try to actually do it granularly, you can't just press a button and the machines does stuff. No, you have to code that stuff. So basically, when they say chip design, it means that there's a company going there and they're making designs for these chips. So in the sense that they're not producing them, they're just putting like a plan for it, right? And then
yes,
the things on the bottom, they're types of architectures. ARM
yeah,
architecture, Synopsys, Xilinx. Xilinx, for example, is going to get acquired by AMD, and I think they make FPGAs, which is field programmable gate arrays, which is like super narrow focused types of processors. So this was a whole thing. Like, they're using the technologies from the bottom to design chips, and these companies
exactly.
are designing them.
Yes, and yeah, so the supplies are very important, and it's like it would be a sort of meta play. And if I could make one recommendation out of these, it would be Lam Research, and I'll probably dive into it. I'll probably dive into them specifically in maybe next podcast episodes. But based on like just looking at their financials, looking at how they've been performing so far, they just have glowing numbers. Their PE ratio, the amount of debt, how much money they have, owner earnings, all of these variables that you use to determine whether or not a company is good with their financials and how much profit they're making. Lam Research just blows it out of the park. And even if that wasn't enough, they always trade below PE ratio compared to other people, other companies in that space. So they're incredibly undervalued currently. And yeah, it's a good buy for sure. So let's move on. We have the market share of the top semiconductor suppliers between 2008 and
Oh, go
2018.
go go a bit back. Go slightly back. Okay, so I just want to explain it a bit more. So then, after somebody comes up with a design, you actually have to manufacture it, which I think, I mean, you've probably heard the concept of foundry. So, for example, Intel, they do both designing and manufacturing, which means they have their own
Yes.
foundry. Now, the problem is with Intel, they haven't gotten the tech quite right, in the sense of they have designs, but they can't manufacture. You probably heard of the whole whatever nanometer debate. Like TSMC, like we were saying, has the capacity to do it, to do 4 nanometers or whatever, but Intel, I think, can only do like 10 nanometers. So it's all about having the technological know-how to actually make these things into existence. Like, in a certain way, Intel does not have the minimization technology of the components in order to make them that small, so they cannot produce it. They could potentially design a 4 nanometer microprocessor, but they're not
No,
able
no.
to produce it. Yeah. So, and this is super interesting, right? And the thing with the suppliers is they're put there in order to understand how many things go inside the whole the whole aspect of it, right? Because yeah,
Yeah,
you need like we said, you need the containment, you need the materials, you need the pressure, you need the equipment. For example, I know ASML, which I think it's a Dutch company, right? I think I'm not sure exactly what the acronym comes from, but it's a Dutch company, and they produce some of the manufacturing equipments even TSMC uses, and they make like I want to say like 4 or 5 a year, and obviously they're booked in advance for I think a lot of years because everybody wants to buy from them, but they're the only ones producing it, right? So that's crazy. So the whole semiconductor road is just a massive it's like a treacherous road with a lot of falls. Everything is limited, everything is super scoped, everything is hard. So yeah, and then the packaging is what you do with it at the end. How you bring it all together. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's less important, but it's probably not the tensest part from what we said before.
true. And depending on your investment style, if you're looking for a play within a play, oftentimes the play within the play is even sort of more stable and is will allow you to make profits or profits on your investment for a longer time than the super hot thing.
Yeah.
So an example is you can buy a wine brand, right? A stock of a wine brand, and it might go in fashion or out of fashion. But if you buy the people that manufacture the cork screwer or the cork itself,
Hmm.
you will forever be in business, and it will be stable for a long time. So that's something you can consider in terms of
Yeah.
packaging or assembly. So it depends on the investment style, because that kind of thing it won't give you, it probably won't give you as much profit, but it will give you stable and long-term profit.
Yeah.
So do your own research.
Yeah.
So so maybe we should add something here as well. What I find interesting too is that you see Intel in the designing and also in the manufacturing, and goes to show that Intel is more focused on this kind of thing. But I think what a lot of people don't also know, and what would be probably useful for people to know, is that Samsung is a really big player in the field, and Samsung is just known for selling phones. And what a lot of people don't know is that Samsung, as a primarily phone selling company, has a huge sort of other business that just pertains to selling and manufacturing chips. And recently, we heard that Apple is getting into it, but Samsung has been doing it all the while. And Apple was getting into it just because it just made sense for them. And given how much of a reliance everybody else would have on TSMC, it makes sense that they would then, or sort of other semiconductor companies, it would make sense that Apple would do their own. So the space is going to be really interesting, because this is everything you need for the things that we're looking for in the future, whether it's AI, whether it's self-driving cars, whether it's any type of wearable tech. All of these things are tied to the semiconductor industry.